This evening, first up, election countdown. With just days to go before Guyanese head to the polls, GECOM rolls out new safeguards, including electronic tabulation and backup power, to reassure voters and observers of a transparent process. Plus, walkout at GECOM. Opposition commissioners stage a dramatic exit, stalling talks on polling stations. What it means for election day and why the debate has sparked fresh political tension. Also, healthcare from the skies. President Ali announces a first-of-its-kind program, drones delivering blood and medical supplies across Guyana. How soon could this life-saving system take flight? Meanwhile, Carter Center returns. Jason Carter, grandson of former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, is in Guyana to lead the International Election Observer Mission. What he's saying about the stakes in 2025. And Global Spotlight. France, the UK, and Germany triggered the return of UN sanctions on Iran, while this move could raise tensions far beyond the Middle East. Those stories and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for August 29, 2025. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, with just days to go before Guyanese cast their ballots in the September 1st general and regional elections, the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, is working to reassure citizens and observers of its readiness to deliver a transparent and credible process. Chief Election Officer Vishnu Prasad disclosed that GECOM has implemented a new electronic tabulation system to enhance transparency. Under this system, each statement of poll will be publicly displayed on large screens before being entered into district and sub-district forms. Party agents will be able to challenge entries before results are finalized. To safeguard against power disruption, especially during the tabulation process, GECOM has sought assurance from the Guyana Power and Light Company and is deploying 2 standby generators at each tabulation center. Prasad stressed that while polling stations can function with lamps, the vote counting process requires a stable electricity supply. The Commission has also reminded the public and observers of provisions under the Representation of the People's Act, which prohibit interference, annoyance, or obstruction of voters within 200 yards of polling stations. Violators could face fines of up to $65,000 or 1 year in prison. In the lead-up to Monday's vote, members of the disciplined services, the police, soldiers, and prison officers cast their votes last Friday ahead of the national polls. GECOM confirmed that 10,481 members of the disciplined service were eligible to vote. They were an estimated 83% voter turnout. Those ballots were secured and will be counted on September 1st alongside the rest of the electorate. 6 political parties are contesting the elections: a Partnership for National Unity, APNU, Alliance for Change, AFC, Assembly for Liberty and Prosperity, ALP, Forward Guyana Movement, FGM, the People's Progressive Party Civic, PPPC, and We Invest in Nationhood, WIN. Of these, 4, APNU, AFC, PPPC, and WIN, are contesting in all 10 electoral districts. The ALP is fielding candidates in 6 districts, while FGM will contest in 7 districts. With 2,970 polling stations established and 757,690 registered voters, this election is expected to be one of the most closely watched in recent years. As the road to September 1st enters its final stretch, all eyes are now on GECOM and the political parties to ensure that Guyana's democratic process is upheld. In other news, just days before Guyanese head to the polls on September 1st, opposition-nominated commissioners at the Guyana Elections Commission walked out of a meeting on Thursday, stalling key discussions on polling station adjustments. The People's Progressive Party Civic has requested additional polling stations to ease voter access and reduce congestion, particularly along the east coast of Demerara. However, opposition commissioners refused to engage on the issue and exited the meeting. Government Commissioner Clement Rohi argued that polling stations must comply with the law to ensure voters can cast ballots in their communities. The PPPC has also pressed GECOM in writing to address potential breaches under the Representation of the People's Act, which mandates voters must be accommodated within their locality. While some objected to the timing of the request, party officials maintain it was filed in time and stressed that legal compliance outweighs deadline. During one of his weekly press conferences on Thursday, the PPPC General Secretary, Dr. Barry Chagdio, dismissed the opposition's walkout as typical, but expressed confidence that GECOM could proceed if a quorum is absent at the future meetings. For the 2025 elections, GECOM has established 2,970 polling stations, serving 757,690 eligible voters, an increase of more than 600 polling places compared to 2020 elections. On a different note, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan on Thursday announced a groundbreaking healthcare initiative that will see drones delivering blood and other urgent medical supplies nationwide within the next 6 months. The system, unveiled during the commissioning of the No. 75 Regional Hospital in East Berbice Quarantine, aimed to drastically cut delays in emergency care, particularly in hinterland and remote areas such as Port Kaituma, Lethem, and Crabwood Creek. The drones will operate in coordination with the National Blood Bank, ensuring rapid response in critical cases. President Ali stated that the initiative is part of a broader digital transformation of healthcare, which also encompasses electronic health records, AI-assisted diagnosis, and the expansion of telemedicine to 200 remote sites. Describing it as one of the first programs of its kind in the Caribbean, President Ali declared, "The future of medicine is digital, and Guyana is not being left behind." Stick around when we return. EU deploys 20 short-term observers for Guyana elections, and Jason Carter leads the Carter Center election mission in Guyana.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've been waiting for. Step right up because it's time for Digicel's $12 million punch and win. Top up with just $1,000 or more for a shot at winning up to $2 million weekly. That's right, up to $2 million weekly. 6 weeks, $2 million per week. Will you be one of our lucky winners? There's only one way to find out. Top up, punch, and win. Only with Digicel. Digicel, better connected.
Hi, Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley, help me out now, please. Why everyone telling me I must exercise my right to vote? Me ain't got time for that. Why must I vote?
Why must you vote? That is your constitutional right and civic duty, my child. Besides, think about this. Government officials make decisions that affect the well-being of you, your family, and community. By voting for a party of your choice, you will be electing the people who will be making these very important decisions. If you don't vote, then you will allow the people who vote to choose government officials without your input. Those others may not share your views about issues that matter to you.
Wait. Is so much voting means to me? And I playing the fool? I definitely gonna vote on election day.
For more information, contact the GECOM on 225-02779 or visit www.gecom.org.gy.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street. Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Jason Carter, chairperson of the Carter Center's Board of Trustees and grandson of former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, has arrived in Guyana to head the center's election observation mission for the upcoming general and regional elections. According to a release on Thursday, Carter will meet with political candidates, civil society groups, government officials, and international observers as part of the mission. The Carter Center has already deployed observers who were undergoing training to monitor election day activities, tabulation, and post-election environment. Calling the elections an important moment for Guyana's democracy, Carter urged eligible voters to participate and expressed hope for a transparent process that reflects the will of the people. He previously co-led the Carter Center's 2020 elections mission. The Carter Center, which has observed Guyana's elections since 1992, released a pre-election report on August 19, highlighting concerns such as potential misuse of state resources and the banking sector's treatment of candidates linked to U.S.-sanctioned businessman Azruddin Mohammed. Vice President Dr. Barry Jagdeo has criticized some of the findings, dismissing them while welcoming other conclusions, including the absence of a bloated voters list and the peaceful nature of campaigning so far. The center, invited by the government, said it will publish independent assessments of the electoral process after the polls close. In similar news, the European Union Election Observation Mission deployed 20 short-term observers across all 10 regions of Guyana on Friday to monitor the September 1st regional and general elections. The observers will oversee key aspects of Election Day, including polling, voting, ballot counting, and tabulation of results. Chief Observer Robert Bedron described them as the beating heart of our mission, emphasizing that their role is to observe, not interfere in the process. Earlier this month, 40 long-term EU observers were dispatched to Guyana, where they have been engaging with political parties, stakeholders, and the public. Together, both groups will provide a comprehensive, fact-based assessment of the elections against Guyana's laws and international standards. The EU mission, invited by the government of Guyana, will release its preliminary findings 2 days after the election and issue a final report with recommendations once the process concludes. Don't go away after the break. CDC directors resign. Trio quits in protest of new vaccine policies. And Nigeria vigilantes. Community militia emerge in response to insecurity.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've been waiting for. Step right up because it's time for Digicel's $12 million Punch and Win. Top up with just $1,000 or more for a shot at winning up to $2 million weekly. That's right, up to $2 million weekly. 6 weeks, $2 million per week. Will you be one of our lucky winners? There's only one way to find out. Top up, punch, and win. Only with Digicel. Digicel, better connected.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Hi, Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley, help me out now, please. Why everyone telling me I must exercise my right to vote? Me ain't got time for that. Why must I vote?
Why must you vote? That is your constitutional right and civic duty, my child. Besides, think about this. Government officials make decisions that affect the well-being of you, your family, and community. By voting for a party of your choice, you will be electing the people who will be making these very important decisions. If you don't vote, then you will allow the people who vote to choose government officials without your input. Those others may not share your views about issues that matter to you.
Wait. Is so much voting means to me? And I done playing the fool? I definitely gonna vote on election day.
For more information, contact the GECOM on 225-02779 or visit www.gecom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening. I am Nikita Ford. Welcome to our regional and international news segment, which keeps you up to date and informed with a trending news story worldwide. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the Security Council that state authorities in Haiti is collapsing as gang paralyzed daily life, displacing 1.3 million people, half of them children. With less than 10% of the required relief funded, he urged immediate donor actions and stronger international security support. Meanwhile, in the U.S., a dramatic exit at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 3 of its top leaders quit in protest. Al Jazeera Patikan Hale reports.
A show of respect and overwhelming support as 3 of the top officials at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention walk out of work, having quit their jobs in protest.
I'm a doctor. I took the Hippocratic Oath. I said first do no harm. I believe harm is going to happen, and so I can't be a part of it.
The harm they are protesting, they believe, would come from decisions made by this, a vaccine advisory board. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. fired the board and replaced them with vaccine skeptics. He reportedly told the director of the CDC to approve their recommendations or be fired. Susan Menares refused. She is now suing over her firing. Now, these 3 top experts have quit for the same reason, because next month the board is set to decide who can take what vaccines and when for diseases like hepatitis B, measles, and COVID, among others. When Americans need to get vaccinated, they go into their local pharmacy or their doctor's office, and this matters because what the committee decides, what gets signed off on, if it's on that list and they walk in there, their insurance company has to pay for that vaccination. They can be expensive, so any changes, any removal from that list could mean millions of Americans go without being vaccinated. Secretary Kennedy is defending the move.
There's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term in order for us to change the institutional culture and bring back pride and self-esteem and make that agency the stellar agency that it's always been.
I just can't tell you what CDC means to all of us.
These doctors say it will have the opposite effect.
We need to get our people back. We've terminated and riffed valuable people. We need to support our labs. We need to get our budget for our appropriate programs.
And the staff cutbacks and dysfunction could have global implications. The CDC is responsible for tracking outbreaks and stopping them. Ebola, Mpox, Zika, to name just a few that the CDC has helped find and contain over the last few years. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
In Africa, young people in Nigeria are being given weapons to protect some vulnerable villages. Al Jazeera Akmel Idris reports.
In many parts of Nigeria, militias like these are being recruited and trained to confront armed groups. Sometimes they're the only force standing between rural communities and certain death. In the northern state of Katsina, the government created what it calls Community Watch 2 years ago, as armed groups overrun many parts of the state. The number of federal troops was inadequate to protect the people.
In terms of the gap that we have in terms of manpower, it was actually met. In terms of resources, we complemented, like the issue of supply of vehicles, rifles, and then the issue of motorcycles so that they can move easily within the terrain.
2 years of confrontation between the state's community watch forces and criminal gangs known locally as bandits has helped to stabilize many areas, but it's come at a cost.
Within just 2 years, we've lost 15 people to bandit attacks under my command. Most of them were killed in ambushes.
Under the Nigerian constitution, the military and police are controlled by the central government, leaving states with little say on when and where they are deployed. As locals, the militias play a crucial role by providing intelligence to security agencies. But they have basic weapons, and the logistics offer little protection from high-caliber munitions. Recent arrival of reinforced trucks could help their operations. But as for their weapons, they'll have to make do with what they have for now. The 2,200 men and women are deployed mainly in areas repeatedly targeted by armed fighters known locally as bandits. They've had training in intelligence gathering and weapons handling, but the arms they have are no match for those the bandits use. There are concerns as to what happens when the operation ends.
Very easy to absorb community watch go into state police, and even if that has not happened, we have a disarmament process.
For now, the militias remain protecting people while being targeted by the bandits at the same time. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Kankara, Northern Nigeria.
Finally, the European bloc, known as the E3, which is made up of France, the UK, and Germany, has triggered the process of reimpose all UN sanctions on Iran. Al Jazeera Gabriel Elizondo reports.
10 years ago, world powers agreed to a landmark Iran nuclear deal called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, that gave Iran sweeping UN sanctions relief in exchange for Tehran's commitment to a peaceful nuclear program. But now European powers, France, the UK, and Germany, known collectively as the E3, are pulling back, enacting a so-called snapback mechanism that will trigger reimposing those sanctions. They include an arms embargo, restrictions on missile development, asset freezes, and travel bans for senior Iranian officials. The E3 announced their decision in a letter to the UN Security Council that reads in part, they believe Iran to be in significant non-performance of its commitments under the JCPOA and hereby invoke the process known as the snapback mechanism. Iran's actions stand in stark contrast to an exclusively peaceful use of its nuclear energy. Iran's accumulation of 60% highly enriched uranium has no credible civilian justification. But Russia blasted the move by the E3, calling it illegal.
We believe that the move by E3 cannot and should not entail any legal or procedural effect. It's a mere escalatory step. It's something that is absolutely showing that the Western countries do not know what is diplomacy about. They don't care about diplomacy. They care only about blackmail and threats and coercion of independent countries.
The sanctions won't go into effect immediately. There's a 30-day waiting period before they kick in. So there is time for diplomacy to prevail.
In the next 30 days, there's a window of opportunity to avoid any further escalation and find a way forward that serves peace. The Secretary General welcomes any efforts to that end.
The Europeans say the snapback is intended to put pressure on Tehran to return to the negotiating table, something critics question.
Demanding that the Iranians come back to the negotiating table is a reasonable request on the surface, but one has to take into account the Iranians were at the negotiating table. Israel and the United States blew up the negotiating table. To make a demand for the Iranians to come back without making a demand that Israel and the United States should not be bombing the Iranians while negotiations are taking place simply cannot be seen as a serious demand. And it seems to be designed to be rejected.
Russia and China on Thursday proposed a Security Council draft resolution that would extend the sanctions relief another 6 months to allow for more diplomacy. But sources tell Al Jazeera if that is put to a vote, it most certainly would be vetoed in the Council by either France, the UK, or the United States. Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera at the United Nations in New York.
Thanks, Nikita. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's Safety B2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other and do have a wonderful weekend.